It's like your mouth will be watering and your eyes will be watering at the same time, which is an interesting sensation. Hey, what's up you guys? It's Avery and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who have never been here before, welcome. Glad you're here. Are you ready to cry? Are you ready to sob? Are you ready to feel all of the feelings? If you answered yes to one or more of these questions, then you have come to the right place, my friends. That is because in today's video, I am going to be recommending 6 books to you that are going to make you cry, that are going to make you feel something in your cold, cold, dead little heart. Are we ready for that? Listen, I think it's important to cry. I cry all the time, maybe even once a day. I don't know if that's true or healthy, but somewhere around that time frame. And I love, love, love books that make me cry. Because in order for a book to make you cry, I feel like that means that it has to be written really well, and you have to really care about the characters, and you have to care about what's going on to like cry. You know what I mean? If there's a book and you just like literally don't care about the characters, you're not gonna cry when something bad happens to them. You're just gonna be like, whatever. So, in my opinion, a book that makes me cry is usually a good indicator that it's a good book. All these books I'm about to recommend you, I'm pretty sure I gave them all 5 stars on Goodreads. So these books are good. So I'm going to kind of go in an ascending order of what made me cry the least to like crying in the club, sobbing, breaking down emotionally. That way, you know, depending on what you're looking for, you'll have a bit of a scale. And everyone's different. Something that made me tear up, that made me cry, might not make you cry. But a lot of these are pretty emotional books, so I feel like there's a good chance that these will make you tear up, at least a little. So before we jump into that, if you've been wondering, Avery, you are wearing some beautiful jewelry right now. Well, you would be correct. If you've been watching my channel for a while now, then you will know that I wear this necklace all the time. Like all the time. I got it for Christmas for my mom. Thanks, Mom. Love you. And literally since Christmas, I think I've worn it in almost every single one of my videos. But I absolutely love this necklace. It is by Ana Luisa. And when Ana Luisa reached out to me to ask if I wanted to do a collaboration with them to promote some of their jewelry on my channel, I said, yes, please. I literally love your brand. This is the Hannah necklace, which like I said, I've had for a while now and love. But they also sent me these 2 beautiful pairs of earrings. This is the Salome Huggies, which I'm obsessed with. They're so beautiful. They are these drop earrings that are hand painted and so, so, so gorgeous. And these are just a nice, simple huggy with a beautiful crystal in the middle, and love, love, love. The third thing they sent me was this ring, which I'm obsessed with. It is the Michelle ring. Just look at it. Absolutely beautiful. The green stone in the middle, I'm obsessed with. It is probably the prettiest ring I own. So the great thing about Ana Luisa is that they have very high quality pieces of jewelry at affordable costs, which is great for some girls on a budget. I feel you. The company is also completely carbon neutral, so from their products to their packaging, they are very committed to taking care of the earth and sustainability, so we love to see that. So Ana Luisa has some beautiful jewelry. Make sure to check them out. You can use the link in my description to look at all of the beautiful options that they have and maybe pick up a little something for yourself or someone that you love. And you can use my code AVERY10 to get 10% off of your purchase. I'm serious about really, really loving this brand, and the high quality jewelry that they produce is just out of this world. Big, big fan. So don't forget to check them out and use the link in my description to find something for you. Let's get started with the tears, really. The first book that I'm going to recommend is The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society by Mary Ann Schaefer and Annie Barrows. I've talked about this book multiple times on my channel this year. I made a whole video about this book, so check that out if you want to know more about my in-depth thoughts on this book. But I love, love, love this book. I would say it's probably my favorite book that I've read this year. Actually, pretty much all of these ones are up there for my favorites, but this is definitely like top 2 or 3. This book follows a woman named Juliet following World War II, and she is a writer who wrote a really popular wartime book and is looking for the next subject of her book when she receives a letter from a man named Dossie on the island of Guernsey, which is a small island in the English Channel. He finds her name in a book by Charles Lamb that he owns that used to be hers, and he asks her if she can send him the name of some of his other work because he really enjoyed that book, and thus begins a correspondence between the two, and she learns about this literary and potato peel pie society that the people on the island of Guernsey created during the German occupation of their island. So Juliet is incredibly intrigued by these people and wants to go to learn more about their society and write her next book about them. It's a wonderful story about family, about friendship, about love, and about how all of those things are important in times when it feels like there's no hope, and how these people were able to come together, find a common love when their entire island was overrun with Nazis. And it's about Juliet going and meeting them and also learning to love them, and it's a wonderful, wonderful story, and it's also hilarious, like really funny. One page you'll be laughing and the next page you'll be crying. And I love those types of stories. It has a love triangle in it. It has beautiful friendships forming. This book has it all. It has it all. And this isn't a complete sobber, but you will tear up because you really, really come to love the characters in this book. And so when something happens to them, you're like, it hurts you deep down. Definitely recommend. The next book is also coincidentally about World War II, and it is The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. And this book follows the true story of Lyle Sokolov, who was imprisoned in Auschwitz during the Holocaust and becomes the tattooist, meaning that he tattoos all the new prisoners who come in, tattooing their numbers onto them. This is a really tough job for him because he is literally tattooing his fellow prisoners and Jews, and he just feels horrible about it, but he's able to use this kind of position. It gives him an advantage because he gets a little bit more freedom in the camp because of it. And so he uses this to smuggle in food and medicine for the prisoners and help take care of the other prisoners. One day when he is tattooing, he meets Gita and immediately knows he wants to know more about her, and the two of them fall in love in Auschwitz. It's under the most horrendous circumstances, but they still find a way to fall in love and hold on to hope that maybe they'll get out and maybe they can be together and that all this horribleness is going to come to an end. It's an incredible story, especially because it is a true story. It's written by Heather Morris, so some parts of it are fictionalized, but Heather Morris spent 3 years with Lyle. I'm pretty sure it's pretty accurate to what happened, even though there was maybe some creative liberties taken. This one definitely got me, had me tearing up. It's pretty tough to read. It's pretty insane to read at some parts, but it's an incredible story about incredible people and will just give you hope for what humans can endure. Next up, we have The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I've also talked about this book a few times on my channel because it is so good, so heartwarming, perfect really, you could say. This book follows a man named Linus, and he is a caseworker for the department in charge of magical youth. So it is a magical realism story. He's basically like a social worker who goes around to these different homes where magical youth are being kept and raised, kind of like foster homes, and make sure that they are being treated well and that they're thriving. He's just kind of a stickler, kind of a rule follower. He's middle-aged, he's alone, he's just kind of, his life is just mundane. One day he is assigned a special case where he is to go to a extremely reclusive house, the house in the Cerulean Sea. It's on an island in the middle of nowhere, and this house houses 6 extremely dangerous children. And so they are removed from society, and he is sent to make sure that, you know, they are being treated well, but more importantly, that they are not going to put other people in danger. And so he's like not super thrilled about having to do that, but he does. He goes, he stays with them, he meets the children as well as their caretaker, a man named Arthur. He really just begins to fall in love with the children as well as Arthur. And it's a wonderful story that has romance. And while the romance is really great, personally what I loved was seeing Linus's heart just like warm to the children, and the bond that he formed and the love that he felt for the children. Oh my gosh, so good. Like, I'm gonna tear up right now just talking about it. He really just starts to love them, and because the children are so lovable and they're hilarious. The children are hilarious. This is another example of a book where you'll be laughing and then tearing up the next second. It will make you want to adopt a magical child in need. Good luck with that. It's a really beautiful book about found family, and I love, love, love those types of books. So this one will definitely get you. It'll jerk at them heartstrings. All right, next up we have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, and I promise this is the last World War II historical fiction. But as I've mentioned recently, I've been really into reading stories like that. It's not my fault that they're all beautifully written and make me cry, okay? Sorry. The Nightingale follows 2 sisters during the German occupation of France. Both sisters are trying to survive, trying to make it through, you know, these years of the war and having to live with the Nazis. Vianne is the older sister, and she has a child, and her husband has been sent away to war, and she has a Nazi that has to come billet in her home. And so she is just trying to keep it together. She is just trying to keep her family safe and kind of keep her head down, lay low, and basically just protect herself and her daughter during this time. Isabel, on the other hand, is a bit younger and a bit more rash. She is very feisty and wants to do what she can to fight the Nazis. She joins the resistance and ends up basically becoming a hero who helps smuggle American soldiers out of France when they crash land in France. They're polar opposites, but they love each other, and it follows both of their paths as the sisters go in and out of each other's lives. It's a wonderful story. It's a very heartbreaking story. I pretty much just cried consistently through the last few chapters of the book. Like, it was not pretty. I have a picture after I finished the book that I'm going to insert right here. Enough said. This book and the next 2 books, I literally just cried through the last few chapters, just consistently. The ending is heartbreaking, but also satisfying at the same time. All right, next up we have A Man Called Uwe by Frederick Bachman. You guys, this book is so good. It's so good. It follows a man named Uwe, and he's basically just a grumpy old dude. He hates everybody. He really finds no joy except for in following rules and yelling at people. The book picks up following the death of his wife, so he is incredibly depressed and really feels like he has nothing to live for anymore because his wife was just the love of his life and now he's alone. So when a young couple moves in next door with their 2 rambunctious children, he's like, please stay away from me. Especially because they introduced themselves to him by backing over his mailbox with their U-Haul, which just really starts off their relationship really great. So he is abhorrently against getting to know them, but the couple weasels their way into his heart, into his life, and it just is another really, really adorable book about a found family and about how people can become really important to you, people who you wouldn't think. Basically every character in this book who annoys him eventually comes to have a better relationship with him, and everyone just starts to love each other and care about each other so much. So that's a beautiful part of the book, as well as there are flashbacks to when he is meeting his wife and when he's married to his wife and what they deal with, and that's also a beautiful part of the book is their relationship. So pretty much both aspects will make you cry. Like I said, I was pretty much just a mess the last few chapters of this book. Consistent crying, sniveling in my bed, but it's also one that has a satisfying ending, even though it's also heartbreaking, which those are the best, you know? The books that just break your heart, but also like leave you feeling satisfied and happy with what happens, but also you're like emotionally wrecked. The last book is probably the most intense book that made me cry. Like I said, everyone's different. This book will have you crying at school, crying in public, crying at work, crying in the grocery store, crying in the club, crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. So this book is a memoir written by Michelle Zauner following the death of her mother, who died when Michelle was 25. And the book details their relationship together. It's about Michelle growing up being half Korean, half white in a town where there are pretty much no other Asian kids her age. And so she basically has to deal with that growing up. This sometimes causes a strain on her relationship with her mother, who is Korean, and it's hard for them to kind of reconcile who Michelle is, but who Michelle's mother wants her to be. But they also have a really deep love for each other, and they bond a lot over Korean food and Korean culture in general. So the book kind of oscillates between a recounting of Michelle's relationship with her mom growing up, as well as taking care of her mom her last few years when she is dying of cancer, and then also following her mother's death, coming to terms with her Korean identity now that her mother is gone, and she stays connected to her mother through food and through Korean cuisine. It's a really, really touching, heartbreaking story about a girl who has a strange relationship with her mom, but they both love each other so much. And then unfortunately she loses her mom and she has to learn how to live in a world without her. I cried a lot when I read this book, like a lot. And that could be just because of personal things that were going on in my life. So I really don't know that everyone will cry as much as I did, but it is definitely a tearjerker no matter what the circumstances, because it's a very touching story. It's a story that will make you appreciate your family while they're here. I think it's easy to be pissed at your family and just aggravated by them constantly until you remember that they're not always going to be there, and nothing is ever guaranteed. Even if you think you'll have years and years left with them, you really never know. Anything could happen, and it's important to treasure them and to just love them. The food aspect was a really cool part. It's like your mouth will be watering and your eyes will be watering at the same time, which is an interesting sensation, because the descriptions of the food that they eat and that they make together is literally so good. I'm like, my stomach will be grumbling while I'm reading this book. This is a great memoir, extremely tear-jerking and emotional, but I think there's a lot to learn from it as well, which I think is really cool. Okay, everybody, those are 6 books that will make you feel something in your cold heart. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you got some recommendations. Like I said, we kind of run the gambit with emotionalism. That's not a word, but you know what I mean. I think there's something here for everybody. If you feel like you need to cry, but you can't do it, one of these books will help you. And maybe I'm just emotionally unstable, but I love to cry. I really do. I love feeling things, feeling really intense emotions, and books are a great way to do that. So definitely check out some of these books. If you've read any of them, leave a comment below and tell me what your thoughts on them are. If you found one in this video that you want to add to your TBR, also let me know, and let me know once you read it, because I would love to hear your opinions about any of these books, because like I said, they're all like 5-star reads from me. Don't forget to click on my link in the description to check out Ana Luisa. Get you some pretty jewelry, okay? You can get 10% off with my discount code Avery10, so make sure to take advantage of that, you know, deal. They've got beautiful jewelry. I think that you'll love it. Just check them out, okay? Just click the link. Click it. It's right there. Thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me in the future. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.